Claus takes poor, sick little Rudolph to the vet. And he says to the vet, "Doctor, please do something for my Rudolph. His nose won't light up." And so the vet walks out of the room and returns with a pet carrier. And he places the pet carrier next to the reindeer, opens it, and out steps a cat. The cat walks around the reindeer and sniffs it. The cat then climbs back into the carrier. The animal doctor takes it out of the room and returns, and he hands Santa Claus the bill. Santa gasps, $350? You didn't do anything for my Rudolph, and you're charging me $350? The vet shrugged and replied, "That's the usual charge, $50 for the office visit and $300 for the CAT scan." I know you missed me when I was gone. So, as you've already heard, this is the second week of Advent, and our theme is peace. And last week's theme was faith, and I heard you had a wonderful time with Reverend Charlene Manuel and how she talked about faith and the power of prayer. It's awesome. And this week, I'm going to do my best to share about peace. And this is one of those things where I don't know if you know this, but, we pray at 10:40 here with everyone that's here, and then the musicians and the platform assistant and I go into my office and do another grounding prayer. And I shared that this is one of those Sundays where I wrote a talk, but I really have no idea what I'm going to say. A lot's on my heart, and I just really, more than anything, just want to be here with you. I might just stand here and just look at you. I've really become very, community means so much. Thank you. So, what to do, how to have a peaceful heart when life's a little challenging. And I have been so moved seeing the people in California whose homes have burned to the ground. And they have stood in the midst of the rubble and literally the dust that used to be their belongings in their home. And appropriately, they are grieving. And at the same time, they have this beautiful sense of peace. I've seen many people just have this sense of peace as they've become so present to, I'm so grateful to be alive. I'm so grateful my family's alive. I'm grateful my pet's alive. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. Most everything in their external world has been lost, but here they are being peaceful. And so how do they do that? And then, of course, I've experienced the same thing when I've been in the presence of someone with a terminal illness, or someone has had someone in their life pass. People who have navigated their own death, or that are navigating their own death, and that are working through the death of a loved one, how they've moved through it grounded and present and with a peaceful heart. And so I just was really looking at that and my own process as well, which I just wanted to share a little bit with you today. So those of you, I think most of you know, my mother passed on November 12th, and she lived in Charlotte, 7 hours away. And so I live here, I work here, and I am the only remaining family member, and I was my mother's health care overseer. And so she had been living in a nursing home for about 5 years, and she loved it. And let me tell you, she was popular there. She just was a hoot. And so she became ill, very, very ill, back in August. And so I placed her in hospice care. And she had an illness that could take her in a moment, a day, a week, or months. So it was a little tricky about, where I needed to be. And I was constantly confronting and tuning in to what I needed to do and how I was dealing with the situation, given that she was 7 hours away and I was here. And I would check in and often surprise myself with how okay I was. I mean, Edie will share with you, I've had moments where grief came up and I would just, I'd let myself grieve, knowing that the loss was coming. And I'm the last one standing in my family. And so I noticed I simply felt, I just had this knowing that everything was okay, and my mother was okay, and my mother and I were okay, and how I was handling it was okay. And the choices I had made for her were good ones, were grounded ones. I knew that. However, and this is not to make anyone wrong, this is a lesson. I had someone say to me that was not a part, of my circle of friends that know how I'm doing. I had someone say to me, "You don't act like someone whose mother is dying." And I went, wow. Okay, it had me question, how is someone supposed to act who is about to experience a considerable loss? And what was underneath that for me, so I was like, okay, wow, okay, that stirred me. And so I'm like, where did that come from? And that person's own expectations and perceptions, of what someone's supposed to do in this kind of situation. There was some judgment there about how I should be responding. And so with compassion for myself and that person, what I got in touch with is that there are some external rules about how we're supposed to do life, how we're supposed to handle grief, or how we're supposed to deal with the parent that's dying. And so I had to ask myself at a deeper level, do I have a peaceful heart? Have the decisions I've made for my mom and how we're navigating this together come from what I know is true, in spite of maybe some pressure of how the outer world says we should do things? What's more acceptable, maybe? Do it this way. You should be feeling this way or doing it this way. And of course, when that happens to us in our life, when we think we're following our wisdom, and it can feel, when someone says something like that, it can stir some guilt and some shame, and because maybe I'm not reacting dramatically enough, or I'm not being grievy enough, or whatever. Yeah. And this is also important to recognize during the holidays. Many of us have joy-filled holidays with friends and family and food and merriment. Based on the Christmas ads on TV, everybody is super happy and really glad that it's time to shop. But however, many of us aren't feeling that way. How are we supposed to do the holidays? Yeah, so it just really had me look at how can life's challenges be navigated with a peaceful heart? And how can we move past how the world says we're supposed to do things? Honestly, I don't think I know one person who is spiritually awake that has not said to me, when we've had a conversation that's meaningful in that way, that they haven't ticked somebody off in their family system or somewhere because of the way they've responded from their knowing. Can you relate to that? You know what I'm saying? It's some, so I just want to delve into this a little more this morning with you. So in the metaphysical Dictionary, the Revealing Word, defines peace as harmony and tranquility derived from awareness of the Christ consciousness. And it reminded me of what Jesus is quoted as saying in John, "My peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you." So our ability to access harmony and tranquility is through knowing what we are, the wisdom that we are, is really knowing inherently our Christ nature. And so I was looking at how to have a peaceful heart in the midst of life's challenges, and I think it can support us again with the holidays. And the first thing is trust your knowing that comes from your Christ consciousness. Trust what you know is true. And choose from that, because that wisdom that informs you is going to support you in feeling that tranquility and that inner harmony and that peace, so that you can move forward in whatever is yours to do in a grounded, present way, in clarity and confidence, regardless of what the world is telling you you should be doing, maybe differently. One of the things, the radical things I did for my mother's memorial service was I had the graveside before the service. Oh my God. I mean, with no open casket, none of that stuff. I just had this sweet graveside service, and then we went to the service in this sweet little chapel, and I had a minister that was awesome. And then we had a party after. It was so great. You know, so kind of the heavier energy got handled first, and then we moved into a celebration of my mom. But let me tell you, I had a couple comments at the reception. Well, I've never seen a graveside first. That was interesting, and I didn't know what to think of that. I'm like, okay. But actually, one person that brought that to my attention said, I thought that was lovely. So, you can stay peaceful because you're staying in integrity with what you know is right for you when you trust your knowing. And one of the things as I was driving down to Charlotte that I decided I was going to do that helped me stay peaceful was to set an intention about how I wanted to be and how I wanted to navigate this time. My intention was to be gentle with myself, to allow myself to grieve, to be fully present, and to allow people to support me. That last part's always a little tricky. Because, you know, those of us that were raised, and you pull yourself up by your bootstraps and you just keep going, you know. And I was surrounded by people that love me. Always gets me. People's kindness is always what just gets my heart. Because my family of heart did not want me to sit on that family row by myself. And I had people from this community that offered to come as well. And that meant so much to me. You know, setting an intention to be gentle with yourself. And that's part also of self-care. So when we're navigating life's challenges, folks, we just got to take care of ourselves. Gently. And the body just seems to be, I can go without sleep and I don't have to eat well, and no. If you don't get rest, you're not going to have a peaceful heart. Your body gets to be nurtured and taken care of. And one of the big things for me is hang out with people that love you. Hang out with people when you're going through a challenge. Make sure you surround yourself with people that get you, that see you, that affirm you. Because there is always going to be someone that has an opinion about what you're doing. Bless their hearts, as they say down in North Carolina. And so it's important that you surround yourself with your family of heart, whoever that is. Maybe it's your actual family, maybe it's not. I cannot stress this enough. And also to find joy. You know, it's interesting when we're going through a challenge, especially like a death, it can almost feel blasphemous to laugh and cut up. And I got to tell you, my friend Gail stayed the whole week with me because I had to deal with some things in one of the houses that I grew up in. And she just had a feeling that I might need some support. She was really right. And we did a lot of discovery of microbreweries in Charlotte. It was awesome. All these neighborhoods that I grew up in that were, really not, they were fine, but now they're trendy, and there's microbrews, and there's all these fun places. And my friend Gail is from Scotland, so she needed a big dose of grits and biscuits. So I took her out to Southern diners, and we went to a movie. It was just so joyful. And there was a moment I said, gosh, Gail, my mom just died, and I'm really joyful. Thank you so much. It's okay to be joyful. My mom would want me to be joyful. But I tell you what, it's one of the last things we make as a priority, I think, when we're going through a challenge, is to let me find some joy here. And lastly, know that nothing in life is permanent. Everything's going to pass, except the love. Nothing is permanent. It's really true. This too shall pass. And that was something that was comforting for me. This intensity of grief, this intensity in my heart, just feeling broken, it's not going to last. Time heals as we allow it. But I found this poem by Mary Oliver, which I thought was so beautiful. She said, to live in this world, you must be able to do 3 things. To love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing your own life depends on it, and when the time comes to let it go, let it go. So, love always stays. It's the legacy we leave. And so this week, I just invite you just to check in with your heart. Is your heart peaceful? Yeah. And if not, just ask, what is mine to do to have a peaceful heart? Where can I live maybe more fully from my knowing? Where can I take care of myself a little better? And how can I embrace that truly the impermanence of life is not only an opportunity for us to know that love is what's sustaining, but that we're also supported. So take a deep breath with me. Thank you again. Thank you again from my heart for your love and your support. It means more than words can truly say. Let's affirm together. I live with a peaceful heart, and so it is.